Hey everyone, and welcome back to Small Screen Sagas. I'm your host, Nicole, and today I'm talking about the show from Season 2, Episode 7, entitled Belly of the Beast. So just giving you initial thoughts of the episode as a whole. Episode 6 was really good. We had already had kind of two just not basic, but sort of underwhelming episodes, I believe, in 4 and 5. Actually, maybe even the first half of the season, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. But episode 6 was really good, and I was really thinking, oh, episode 7 is going to come. Episode 7 is going to kill it, especially after season 1, what happened in episode 7 with Colony House getting attacked. I assumed a lot of action was going to happen here. It didn't happen. It wasn't a bad episode. I'm not really here to talk bad about the show, but I was sort of disappointed when I saw daylight, and I was like, what? I thought we were going to see more stuff when they already came back today, and Randall and everything like that. But it's okay. I still have high hopes that we're going to see some action. We're going to see some scary stuff. I think we're going to get a death, hopefully a big death, not an extra that we never seen before. I want to have a named character die, possibly, or come very close. So we'll see where that goes for the next 3 episodes of the season. All right, so we're going to go ahead and do it as how we always do it. We'll split up by characters and kind of go from everyone's storyline from sort of least important to most important, or it's not even least important. I guess bigger storyline versus smaller storyline. Here we go. We'll start off with Jim and Randall. So Jim saw Randall flying the drone. It turns out to his Randall's nephew's drone, or he was going to give to his nephew for his birthday, and he asked for his help. Randall's not interested. He's sort of a jerk. He's like, you kind of creep me out. Like, you're one of those people that kind of try to lure kids. and I'm glad Randall said that, because Jim, I know we talked about Jay being an asshole, but Jim tries to act like he's better than everybody. He tries to act like he's just smarter than everyone. They never listen, and talking bad about Victor, calling him a freak or whatever. Like, that was rude. I don't know. I'm just not really feeling Jim this episode. Like, each week, I thought he was good. I thought, yeah, he had a good head on his shoulders. But now I'm starting to see, asshole behaviors in Jim. It's so subtle because he says it in such a calm manner. But it seems like anyone who disagrees with him, or just has a different opinion than him, or is just different than him, he acts like he's better than them. And to me, I felt like him going to Randall, it was almost like, hey, I'm talking to you and I could use your help, buddy. And Randall's like, get the fuck out of here. I don't want to help you. I don't want to talk to you. Get out of here. So I appreciated Randall kind of being like, ugh, to Jim, because Jim is like that usually to other people. And he also says, seeing how your wife was not down there, then it sounds like you pretty much got those 2 people killed for nothing. Which, Jim's like, you feel better now? And I'm like, yeah, I bet he does. Because it kind of, I'm not going to blame that on Jim. But I get what Randall said it, why he said it, So as they're going on a mission to look at the RV, I guess that's where Jim ended up taking him to, Randall's like, so you called for help, someone answered, and nobody's doing anything about it? And Jim's like, yep. I'm like, Jim, that's not exactly how it happened. You've told Donna, well, Donna was there. You told Boyd just ignored you. And you told your wife. Not everybody knows. So it's not like everyone knows this information and they're just not doing anything about it. Jim, you haven't told anyone. Just 3 people. And your wife, for whatever reason, doesn't believe you. So, yeah, maybe actually tell more people before you say no one's doing anything about it. But he shows him the RV, and to get the antenna, he's pretty much telling him, hey, if we can get this antenna on top of the drone, maybe we can get a better signal of some sort. I did see online that someone was like, hey, they should put somebody's phone on there. Even if they don't have internet access and everything like that, your camera still works. Put the phone attached to the drone and actually see what's out there. I saw that online, and I thought that was kind of a good idea. But Randall says, hey, if you do believe this place is an experiment, I don't see how you haven't considered the possibility of people that live here, the residents, also being involved. If there's an experiment, there always has to be that internal person there with the people that don't know what's going on, So someone knows more information here, and they would have to be able to keep track of everything. So with Randall putting this in Jim's head, I feel like it's going to end up backfiring on them. Like, somebody's going to do something stupid. People are going to start pointing the fingers. I think you're involved. No, you're involved. You've always been weird. Like, it's a slippery slope when you start these unfounded rumors, but at the same time, it's worth questioning, but they need to tread lightly, because once you start saying, we can't trust everyone here, people aren't going to trust each other. If you guys can't even trust each other, someone's going to end up getting hurt by the monsters, like how Dale was trying to kick the bus driver and Elgin out. So Randall made a good point, but I would say tread lightly, because this is going to end up backfiring. Someone's going to get killed that was completely innocent. Another thing I'll mention with Jim, it's really in regards to Victor and Ethan, which we're going to talk about next, is that when Ethan was like, hey, I want to go to a calling house, I want to be able to see Victor, and Jim immediately says no. And then Tabitha goes, no, it's okay. And I get what Jim was saying, like, hey, we need to be a team. I said no, and you immediately say yes. But I have to sort of disagree with Jim. Like, I feel, yes, as a parent, you need to be a team. But if you are it's like, what, whoever is the first to speak, that's whose decision we're going with. Because Jim spoke up and said, no, you can't go to Colony House, before even getting Tabitha a chance to kind of digest that question or digest the request. Or they weren't even requesting, they were saying they were going. And he just spoke up. So now with her saying the opposite, it does look like, hey, we're not on the same team. We need to be on the same team as parents. But then Jim, shut up. You talked before she even got a chance. So if she would have said yes first, and then you would have said no, then it would have been the same thing. So I would say, as far as like parenting, maybe if he did have a disagreement about it, he would like, hey, Tabitha, can I talk to you outside for a minute? And they had that discussion before either said yes or no in front of the kids. Which leads us to Victor and Ethan. Actually, before I get to that, Jim and Tabitha go outside and have a talk. And that's when Jim called Victor an emotionally stunted freak. Jim, that doesn't make you sound any better. Like, come on. So you're now talking about Victor. It rubbed me wrong. I liked Jim. I did up until now. I've seen other people online talking about him, and I never had a problem with him. But now I'm starting to see, no, he thinks he's just better than everybody. And I'm not usually one of those people like, you think you're better than everyone. Who cares? But in this case, it's important because they're in a community. They need to work together. If you think you're just the smartest person there and no one else has common sense or can figure stuff out and you're the only one, then it's going to cause issues. Jim brings up the voice on the radio and Tabitha doesn't believe him, which I felt was wrong. Like, Tabitha, you saw that shit in the tunnels, but somehow Jim hearing a voice is impossible. Like, the logic in this show, I just didn't get. Like, what do you think? He misheard? Did you see those kid monsters? So I didn't like that. And once again, I hear people say they don't like Tabitha. I don't like her, but I don't dislike her. But let's get to the Victor and Ethan stuff. So Ethan goes to see Victor, who is still not fucking with him. He's like, what are you doing here? Leave or whatever. And I loved it when Victor was like, the orange was dry. And everyone's like, what? What do you mean orange? Like, y'all have oranges here? And he's like, yeah, the marker, it was dry. It was a bad gift. Protect Victor at all costs. Call him whatever, socially awkward, whatever you want to call him. He speaks his mind. Like, he's going to tell you, this marker you got from a storage cabinet somewhere in a diner, it was a bad gift because it was dry. And he's telling it to a little kid. I want us all to be that honest with kids. Like, yo, this little Fruit Loop necklace you made me, it's a bad gift. The Fruit Loops are stale. I can't even eat this. So I don't know. But I thought that was funny. But Victor ends up giving him a chance and says, hey, you can help me with measuring. And we do see them counting and measuring your steps to see like how far the trees have moved. And that's when Victor says they're losing their leaves. That doesn't happen here. It's never happened here. And when things change here, it's usually bad. And Ethan, being the nice, innocent kid that he is, he's like, maybe it's a good change since it's never happened before. Like, let's look at it that way. Which I kind of like as well. But if leaves are falling, we're getting this change in seasons. And even later on when we're talking to Julie, her hair is blowing hard when she's talking to Elgin. And everything behind him, you can see the trees and leaves blowing hard. It may be fall for only a couple days, and then it may turn to winter. We may get snow. We may... where they're trapped inside the house, which would be even harder than it is now if they can't go out even during the day if they're like snowed in. But I might be getting too ahead. So we'll see what happens with the weather. We do get a quick scene of Dale as well as the bus driver in the in Colony House. Dale's talking to Donna. He's like, "Are you gonna put me in the box like they do in the town?" He's like, "Is this who we are now?" And I'm like, Dale, don't try to flip it around and act like you're the victim. You stabbed someone. You should have been aware that there was a knife in your hand. You stabbed someone. Actually, even though the stabbing itself was an accident, you did attempt to throw 2 people out of the house at night, which essentially is saying, hey, I want you to die. I'm sending you off to death because there's not enough food for all of us. Like, don't try to play the victim here. And Donna's like, you need to chill. And he's like, well, I'm not wrong about the bus people. Like, I might have been wrong, about fussing with Ellis. He's a good kid, but I'm not wrong about the bus people. There's too many of them here. Not enough food. We're going to need to make tough choices soon. And Donna was like, don't you go around talking about tough choices at this time. Because if we need to make tough choices, your name is going to come up. I mean, she didn't say all that, but, that's what she was getting at. And then she immediately is confronted by the bus driver who was like, he tried to kick us out at night. Oh, bus driver lady. Just a few days ago, you didn't even believe it. So be lucky. No, I'm just joking. She was right. She's like, he tried to kick us out. He, was essentially is a death sentence. What are you going to do about it? And Donna's like, hey, you're one of us. We take care of our own. You are safe here. And that's all we see of the bus driver. I kind of want to know if this conversation is going to lead to something bigger. Maybe Dale will get killed, but I kind of hate when in the movies they have like the asshole person get killed, like Randall or Dale. And I don't really want them to get killed. That's not real. Well, this show isn't real, but that's not realistic as the asshole. The asshole usually doesn't get killed. It's the nice person. It's like a little kid Ethan, like that was just innocent, or Julie or somebody. But we're going to see what happens with Dale's future. I know he's not going to go in the box. And we'll see what happens with the bus driver. All right, let's talk about Fatima. When the episode first comes on, Christy confirms to Fatima she is indeed pregnant. And Fatima admits she hasn't told Boyd yet. Not Boyd. That would be weird. She hasn't told Ellis yet and doesn't want to say anything to him yet as well. And before Christy can kind of pry and say, like, why, I think they're interrupted, so they don't really get to continue that conversation. But later on, Ellis and Fatima, they went back to the Colony House, and they're telling Julie what happened with Dale. And they tell her, you're welcome here anytime. And, what happened should have never... Oh, Donna tells her tells them what happened to Ellis should have never happened. And that Donna says, hey, you did good for bringing him to the clinic. So Fatima is still keeping this secret from Ellis. And I'm judging her mainly because she was so mad at Ellis 2 episodes ago because he kept a secret from her. And to me, this is a bigger secret. The secret he kept from her didn't really have anything to do with her. I mean, his dad was on a mission with Sarah. That's all he knew. Where in this case, her pregnancy, she's already told multiple people. It can easily get out. And how would that make him feel if he finds out, like, by a third party? If Donna goes, oh, yes, Phantom, I'm so happy for you guys. And then he goes, what? Oh, she still hasn't told you. Like, that, I mean, that didn't happen, but it could have. So I was just very surprised that, Fatima's going around telling, not everybody, but she tells Christy, she tells Donna, and I get it. She later on tells Donna, when she does speak with Donna alone, she goes, this shouldn't be able to happen. It's medically impossible. And she wonders if this place is trying to torture her. And that's when Donna laughs and says, evil trees have taken you to a dungeon. She mentions Boyd, and then she goes, don't ask about it. I'm sorry. No, I do have to ask about it. What are you talking about? Boyd said you can go to evil trees that'll take you to dungeons. We're like, what? Like, no, I know this is a serious conversation. I'm pregnant, but no, I do need to ask some follow-up questions here. And she says a miracle is just the other side of a nightmare. And I just like this scene. It was like, you fell in love in a broken place. Cue Rihanna right now. But one thing that Donna does tell Fatima in this scene is she says, hey, the plants are dying. It's like they're growing in poisoned soil. I saw some weird, crazy, how did you guys even come up with the math of Fatima's pregnancy? I mean, anything's possible. It's a crazy show. But some people are like, what if Fatima has the worms in her? How? Like, y'all ain't making no sense. Even if Boyd transferred the worms to Ellis, Fatima's already pregnant. At the very least, she's 4 to 6 weeks pregnant. She's been pregnant long before this Smiley stuff happened. Hell, she's been pregnant long before the worms happened. At this point, the worms has happened for maybe, it's been like a week, since the worms have happened. So I just, when those theories were like, Fatima's carrying the worms, I'm like, okay, y'all are crazy for that theory. Or the Elgin is Fatima and Ellis' son. Weird theory as well, but it's possible. I may be eating more words at the end of the season. However, what Donna's saying about the plants keep dying and it's like they're growing in poisoned soil, something did want me to take note of this and say, is it possible Fatima, I don't know, is it possible something crazy is going on down there? Like, when people were first saying it, I don't see how Smiley, the worms, or anything have to do anything with Fatima's pregnancy. But I do feel like maybe this pregnancy won't see it all the way through, like to the birth of the child. Just something about Donna saying, like, the plants and poison soil. It made me think, like, of Fatima's body as the soil and it's poison, the baby is the plant. I know that sounds kind of sick and gross, but I don't know. Hopefully they don't do that because it would just be so sad. But at the same time, a baby in this town, that would be sad too. Unless it could bring joy. I'm guessing it would bring joy to the town. But it would be sad too as well to bring a baby in there. And then finally later, Fatima finally does speak to Ellis. He's the third person she tells. All right, let's talk about Elgin. So we see Elgin really at the beginning when they're when they're looking at Smiley and everything like that, which we'll get to next. However, he leaves, and actually Boyd was kind of treating him wrong. He's like, Elgin, what's wrong? Something wrong? Like, there's a dead monster on the ground. So yes, Elgin's gonna stare at it. He's gonna be freaked out. I didn't really get them having Boyd say, hey Elgin, what's up? Like, what's up? Like, what do you mean what's up? There's a dead monster right here. But later on, he talks to Julie. He tells her what happened the night before with Smiley, and then asks her not to tell anyone, not even her parents. And this is my reminder to Elgin. If you're going to tell someone a secret, you ask them not to tell anybody anything before you tell them the secret. Like, I don't know. That's how promises are, You don't tell them the secret and then say, promise you won't tell anyone. No, the promise comes before you tell them the secret, Because once you tell them a secret, what if they can't? I mean, I don't know. It was just something that I was like, that's not how you tell secrets. you get the promise first and then you tell them. But he says he feels he's supposed to remember something from that dream he had when he was on the bus. Because when he saw Smiley, it was like the memory was coming back to him, but then it was gone. Which brings us back to why he was looking like that when Boyd was like, what's wrong with you? Well, there's a monster and I'm having a memory that's just not quite there. And we've all been through that. So it's like the memory is like right there, but he can't remember it. So I don't know if he'll end up like just walking down the street and like it hits him, or he'll see something that hits him. Because that's how the memory is like, at least it comes back for me that way. You're just walking and you're like, boom, there it goes. I have an appointment. Oh no, or I forgot to do this. Let me do it. Or you can see something and they're like, oh yeah, that thing reminded me of that thing, which reminded me of that thing, which made me remember what I was supposed to do. Everybody's brain work differently, but we'll see when Elgin remembers what he's supposed to remember, which could potentially happen next episode based on what we saw happen at the end. So he gets his advice from Julie. She's telling him, hey, the way I cope when I'm stressed out and everything like that is I take a bath, I lay down, let the water hit my ears, and it sounds like the ocean. Elgin says I don't like taking baths, but at the end of the episode, we see Elgin in the bath, and once again, the music box starts to play, and he gets pushed down, and there's a woman, a dead-looking monster woman, trying to drown him. So I've seen so many people talk about this woman that was drowning Elgin, and a lot of people are saying it looks like Fatima. I agree. It kind of does look like Fatima. It even kind of mimics her little outfit that she had on. Other people have said they've done a side-by-side comparison. It's not the same outfit. I get that. But they made it close enough that makes you wonder. So either it's supposed to be Fatima or it's just making us think it's like a psych out. So We'll see if Elgin's even alive. Like, does he get up? You know, we've seen a few of these things, or we've seen the ballerina that tried to kill Boyd. But can he really be drowned by something that's not there? Because then now it's making it even more dangerous for our people. Like, before, they just have to worry about the monsters. But now, if that ballerina really was able to successfully strangle Boyd, there's a deeper problem. If this monster that's not even there is actually able to drown Elgin, that's a bigger problem. Or those little kid monsters that, you know, surrounded Tabitha. That would have been a problem. So, 2 more stories I actually forgot to touch on before we get to Smiley. And that is Jade and Tabitha's conversations. And then we'll talk about Christy and her girlfriend. Actually, let's talk about Christy and her girlfriend real quick, because it was really quick. So we get Mariel. She's getting sick. I think I'm pronouncing Mariel's name wrong, but she gets sick. She's going through withdrawals, and Christy is sort of rude, and, you know, to Boyd and them. She's like, let's just hurry up and get shit done. That's when they're about to, you know, open Smiley up. But I was kind of surprised that Christy told them what was going on with Mariel. I mean, I guess when you're in this place, like, you just got to be honest, because when she's going through withdrawals, and they're like, oh, okay. I'm like, if I was going through withdrawals, I'd be so embarrassed that you told my business. Like, don't be telling my business. Just say she's not feeling good. You know, like, I don't know. Is there no medical privacy here? Everybody just be telling everybody's medical business. This person got Parkinson's. This person this. Now you telling people I'm going through withdrawal. There's a stigma behind drug use and addiction. And some of it is rightfully so. You know, some people have family members that are on drugs and have stolen from them, have done different things that they wouldn't have done if they weren't on drugs. So I definitely get that stigma of, like, don't trust the crackhead or whatever, you know? However, with them being in a small town, they're all going to have to live together. I feel like maybe this is something Christy should have kept a little quiet and just let her heal, because now, even when she heals and she's all better, is that stigma going to still carry with her now at the small town? Like, oh yeah, she threw up. Oh yeah, she took some of that morphine, and then something comes missing. Oh, I wonder if it's Mariel. So I don't know really how I feel about Christy telling them so quickly. But she takes care of her and tells Boyd when she met her, she had been sober for almost a year, and she didn't even know that she was going through withdrawal since she was so focused on Smiley. And Kenny's right, maybe they shouldn't open her up. But they kind of just settle down and do it anyway. But I want to talk about Christy meeting Mariel when she had been sober for almost a year. Something about that feels a little inappropriate. And I may be inappropriate for saying that. But less than a year and she's sober, aren't they? Like, people aren't supposed to really be starting new relationships? Or I don't know. I may be wrong. I don't even want to offend anyone or say anything that's not correct. But when she said that, like, almost a year. So a year is barely any time. So she'd been sober for a year. That's no time. She wasn't even sober for a year yet. Was she really supposed to be starting a relationship? And as you being a medical student, you should kind of know that. And maybe should just been a friend. I'm not here to judge Christy. I have no problem, Christy. I have no problem, Mary. I just want to kind of throw that out there. And my apologies if this was an ignorant or over something I shouldn't have said. But it was just a thought that I had when she said almost a year. I'm like, well, you shouldn't have been dating this girl. She needs a friend. Because a year ain't nothing to be sober. And she hadn't even been a year. It hadn't even been a year. So that's my thoughts on that. So we get Mariel. I know I'm pronouncing that name wrong, because every time I'm watching the show, Christy says her name, and I'm like, that's not how I pronounce her name on the podcast. And then as soon as it goes off, I'm potting and I say Mariel, but I'm like, I know that's not that girl's name. It's something close, okay? But we see Mariel. She's looking for Christy. She goes to the room where Smiley is kept, and the bed is empty, and she freaks out. And that's when we see Boyd, and then we see Smiley. And, like, it was so funny because I watched it Sunday night or Sunday afternoon. Gary had fell asleep, so he didn't watch it with me. And he was watching it with me again while we did the rewatch. And it's so funny when this scene comes on, he goes, oh my gosh, he starts freaking out. He's like, Smiley's alive, you were right, he's a daywalker. And I'm like, were you not awake when I saw this scene the first time? That's a dream. So I knew it was a dream because everything was happening way too fast, even the first time watching. But we see Boyd, he shoots at it, the music box plays, And then she wakes up from this nightmare. A few things I want to note about this scene. I didn't know they were keeping Smiley in the room where Kenny's dad was brutally killed. I didn't know that was the same room until Mario goes in there in her dream. And I'm like, oh, that's where Kenny dad. Oh, wait a minute. Y'all had Smiley in this same room where Kenny's dad was brutally murdered? Meaning Kenny's walking past his dad's bloodstains to come help you with Smiley? It made me even more mad for Kenny in this episode. The disrespect that happened to Kenny in this episode will forever be talked about. So that's one thought I thought of with that. And the second thing, it's kind of making me nervous that she's now hearing the music box. We got Elgin that heard the music box, Boyd. And later on, she does tell Christy. She tells her about the dream. Smiley came alive. He was walking. He was going to get us. And then there was a music box. Boyd's giving me his nightmares. Ha, ha, ha. No, have that conversation with a few more people. Let's get a few more brains and a few more thoughts and opinions on it, Because Christy kind of laughed it off. And I'm like, If Boyd told me he had a dream with a music box or saw a music box, now my fiance is telling me she had a dream with a music box. No. We're going to have to talk about it. How are you guys having the same dream or / nightmare? It would make me concerned even more with Smiley being in that house or in that clinic. Although Christy mentioned earlier, hey, I don't want it when she was telling Boyd, let's hurry up and get it done because I don't want him here longer than he needs to be. So it kind of implied that they were going to put Smiley out after they were done, but we didn't see that happen. And Kenny left before dark, so it didn't see anyone take Smiley out. So he may still be down there. And then let's talk about Tabitha. Tabitha goes to see Jade, who is trying to make decent alcohol now that doesn't taste like shit. And she asks him why you didn't seem surprised when you saw me screaming on the ground. And that's when he tells her about the Civil soldier chasing him. And they sort of pretty much share stories of what they saw. And she's like, so your visions change each time? He's like, yeah, they could be different things. The only thing that's consistent is the symbols. And then she tells him about the little kids and the monster kids. And I hate when she keeps saying, she's like, I see children. He's like, little kids, like children? Stop saying just children. It should be monster children. Let's use our adjectives here. If you say, I keep seeing children, that doesn't sound scary. That sounds sweet. Like, where are these little sweet kids that you're seeing? Because I only see Ethan here. But if you say monster kids, people are going to think Children of the Corn, The Shining, whatever other bullshit movies there are with kids being scary, okay? But if you say, oh yeah, I keep seeing kids, my mind goes to the Little Rascals, just some little kids having fun. So let's use our adjectives here, Tabitha, and describe these monster kids well. But she does say they're terrifying and everything like that. And she says, I thought I was being like punished or whatever because Thomas died when he was a few months old. And Jade does, show some sympathy there. But I kind of want to talk about this bringing Thomas up. Because why would she be feeling, I know, she probably does feel guilty. It's not her fault. It was a freak accident. I've already discussed how high this changing table freaking was. Because how did the baby die? Not laughing at the baby dying, of course. But like how? How high was this changing table? Okay, my kid didn't have a changing table. You change him on the couch. You change him on the bed. You didn't need a damn changing table. Okay, you just change him wherever there's a spot to change him. But hey, that was me. Now, in this case, her saying that she felt she was being punished, I did see other people, like, I think in season 1 or something, talking about, like, did Tabitha do something to the baby? And I was like, why would you guys ever think that? Like, I believed her story. But now I do wonder about her story, because why would you feel like you're getting punished? But at the same time, that's her guilt from, if anyone's, you're something like that happened to your baby, my baby rolled off the couch. So I guess, yeah, if she died from rolling off the couch, there would be a massive guilt, even though it was an accident. So I get that. It could just be that she's feeling guilty of that, or I am now starting to question whether those people that are like, Tabitha must have did something. I'm giving them like 5% of like, okay, I'm going to put you onto the side. I'm not going to completely, not listen to what you're saying, but I'm going to put that theory off to the side. But that would be a pretty sick, that would make everyone hate Tabitha if there was something sick there that happened there, other small detail that I just feel, I don't know, they could have just given me a little bit more. And that's when she said, my son, he was a few months old when he died. A few months old? Can we get specific here exactly how old this child was? I mean, I was saying my daughter was like 26 months old. We were still using months. So if the baby is under 12 months, you usually say the exact months. Like, everyone knows that. People make fun of parents when they keep using the months for too long, 18 months, 24 months, there's that joke where they make fun of parents for using months for so long. So small detail. I know someone might say, okay, why do you care a few months versus the actual months? But to me, it does matter, because I'm trying to picture how this child was to have died from this changing table fall. I mean, I don't even want to look at the story up if it's possible. I'm sure it is, but how fucking high was this changing table? That's all I gotta have. And the bed is right there. The couch is right there, 2 feet off the ground. But I thought that it would have been better in more detail, or giving you a better understanding of their life before, if they would have said the exact age. Like, my 5-month-old, this is something small, not nitpicking, but she said a few months. I'm like, no one talks about a baby as in a few months. You always say the baby's exact months. 3 months. Hell, we were using days when my daughter was born. She's 12 days old. 7 days old. Like, you know what I mean? 2 months and 3 days old. Like, come on. So when she just said a few months, I'm like, I'm gonna need exact months, okay? I'm gonna need some more detail on that, but I'll move on. Well, before I move on, before Tabitha leaves the bar, she does see the symbols that Jade had in his book. And she goes, oh, those are the symbols I saw in the tunnels. And that's when Jade was like, wait, tunnels? What tunnels? So a few things to note, a few theories I think it's safe to bring up. And that is just talking about the monsters and how their face looked like monsters. And that's what Tabitha saw in the tunnels. And then at night they come out and they're not monsters. Like, and I'm sure this theory has been thrown around several times, but like, I feel like they're in the vampire sort of family. Like, they sleep in the day, wake up at night. They're incredibly strong. Their face changes when they turn into their monster form. Like, if you were Buffy the Vampire Slayer, you remember, Angel, he looked normal. And then when he turned into the vampire, his face turned. So it made me think, like, are these vampires? And technically, we don't see them suck the blood in the traditional vampire format, but they do drain everything. Maybe they do drink the blood and it just drains right away. Because look at Smiley, he was dry, bone dry. So I feel like they're in that vampire family. Instead of crosses, there's the talisman that keep them out. You got to actually invite them in for them to come in. There's a lot of similarities to vampires. I know some of you may be listening like, duh, girl, we figured that out in season 1, and it actually didn't even hit me. Gary told me today. He's like, oh, those seem like vampires. I'm like, oh yeah, I never thought of that theory. So I know there's probably someone listening that right now and it's like, girl, we've been talking about that theory since season 1. But I haven't seen it, so I thought of it, or Gary thought of it today, and I'm relaying that message there. So something to think about. All right, let's talk about everything else, which was pretty much Smiley. They go outside, look at Smiley. Kenny says the smartest thing. Let's burn it. And I'm like, yeah, like, that's what you do. Do we not remember the Trojan horse? Like, come on. When Kenny said, let's burn it, and they're like, nah, let's bring it inside. Have we not seen this before? Did we not just watch Game of Thrones? Do y'all not have Game of Thrones in your world? Because Game of Thrones showed us that's a bad idea with White Walkers. Trojan horse, that's a bad idea in Troy, right? You burn the shit. You burn it, don't ask questions. You don't have to know every freaking thing. Why don't you just be happy that it's dead and that you got rid of one? Investigating autopsies, there's just too much. So Kenny made sense right away, but no one was really listening to him. They immediately disagree. Boyd's like, let's take it in the house. Kenny brings up so many valid points. Like, we don't even know if it's safe to touch this thing, let alone bring it inside and everything. And that's when Boyd told Ellis, dip out before people come to visit you. We want to keep this quiet for now. Why are we keeping shit quiet? Y'all keep everything quiet. Stop having all these little secrets and everyone should know everything. Because that's how they get you, with these secrets. But them not listening to Kenny, and he's said it so many times, and I saw a post once again online talking about, do y'all find Kenny annoying? He was so annoying. Okay, so you would be one of the people that didn't listen. Kenny's talking sense. He's talking logic right now. We don't know what's going to happen. I have a really good feeling about season 8. Or not season 8. I hope there's no season 8. That's too long. But I have a really good feeling, about episode 8. So Kenny tries to rationalize with him again. And he's like, we don't want to bring something evil into your home. And Christy says this may be the only time to evaluate one of these things. So it's coming inside. And then once they get Smiley inside, and they're like, okay, we need a saw, we need she said maybe even some gloves would be great. Christy, girl, you're a third year medical student. Okay, that was hard to get out. You're a third year medical student. Gloves are like the basic 101. You almost put on gloves to take somebody's temperature, and that's not even invasive. I mean, I know they don't, but I wouldn't even be surprised if someone put on gloves to take a temperature. Like, yes, you're going to put on gloves. You wouldn't even be able to do this without gloves. Who would even think of? The spiders are supposed to be, not spiders, the worms are supposed to be inside him. And that's once again where Kenny brings up another good point. Where do the spiders go? Are they dead too? Are we going to open it up and the spiders attack us? Like, he's brought up so many points. And I'm glad they did that, because I know we, the audience, would have been mad if no one brought up good points. But the fact that they didn't listen to him, and then the people that didn't listen to him, Boyd, I would expect more. He's been in the military, he's been in charge. You gotta have common sense, dude. Do you go and figure out shit that your enemy has, or do you glad you got out of that mess? Like, oh, I'm glad we got out of there. I mean, I don't know. And then Christy, as a medical student, yeah, let's open it up. Y'all didn't even do autopsies during the pandemic, I don't think. People didn't want to do autopsies then. Nah, we don't want to open them up. But now you're going to open up a monster? Like, I'm glad Kenny said something, and we wouldn't be talking about it if Boyd and Chrissy just listened. But I'm still disappointed that they didn't listen. And then sure enough, as soon as Christy cuts across, the chest of Smiley, his face jerks. It was scary. And that's when Kenny's like, yo, I can't do this. We shouldn't be doing this. Like, once again, he's trying so many times. It's not even like he said it once or twice. This is like the 4th time now he's telling you this is a very bad idea. And in this case, I told you so is not going to help. Like, when, I can't wait to prove them wrong. No, this is not a case where I can't wait to prove you wrong. I don't want to have to prove you wrong. I don't want to have to find out. Let's burn this thing and be happy there's one less of them. And that's pretty much what Kenny was saying. We should have burned it. This is wrong. He's worried about the worms. And that's when he goes outside. Christy follows him. She's trying to have her cake and eat it too. Because she's used to Kenny probably having her back and everything, but that relationship has changed. And he says, I can't stay. And she's like, we're in this together. Like, don't try to play with his emotions. We're not in this together. Your girlfriend's here. Your fiance's here. Actually going through withdrawals while you're taking care of her. So we're not in this together. He says, no, we're no longer in this together. And she's going to act like, Matt, you friend zone him. You can't friend zone him and then expect the benefits or the support that you would get from a boyfriend. Christy, you're doing too much and I'm disappointed in you. And I say all this because I like Christy. I still like Christy. But I was disappointed in her this episode. What was the point of going to medical school if you don't even have common freaking sense? But Kenny goes, I love you, but I can't sit here and watch it like you possibly die. I just can't. And then Christy has the nerve to get mad at him and walk off. And I wish Kenny would have stuck to his word, because his mama has been through enough. If Kenny dies, his mom is going to be broken. Broken. And if Kenny dies, we right. Okay? Y'all leave Kenny alone. He cannot die. I'm not going to throw any other names out there, but I'm going to say of who can die, but there's a list. But Kenny can't die. Eventually, Christy gets Smiley's chest open. Kenny does go ahead and come back, and we find out all his organs and everything. It's the anatomy of a human, she says. The organs are just shriveled up, and there's no blood. It's bone dry, and that's when she starts stabbing it. Like, once again, Christy, and I'm not saying like everyone in medical school just can't lose their shit from time to time, but I do feel like with your knowledge and your training, and there's only 3 of you guys in the room, sometimes you got to take that responsibility. Like, you're the one that's sitting here cutting it, so you need to be in control of your emotions. Once again, have no problem, Christy. Love Christy. Don't want anything to happen to her. We can't. She's a doctor. We can't have anything happen to her. But she disappointed me this episode. So she stabs at it. She's an emotional freak. Oh, look at me, emotional freak. Sorry, Jim came in my ear with that one, okay? But she's stabbing at it. Jim said that, not me. And then the yellow fluid appears, and she says that. And she calms down. All I'm thinking is, girl, you had to stab it that many times. Like, throw this shit away and burn it. I sometimes I can just be lost on something. I don't have to know everything. And I probably would have even respected them more as characters if they would have burned it. I'm like, oh man, I wish we could have seen what was inside of it. But that was a smart thing to do. But who knows? Maybe I would have been like, why didn't they show us what was inside of it? Who knows? Who knows? I'm human. We say shit and do the opposite. So who knows? But we get Boyd. He's holding the bio in a small little bottle. And Kenny says, well, how are we going to test this theory? Like, how are we going to actually, inject them with it? Because is Boyd going to try that stunt again? He tried it once with Smiley. He won. He saved. But I wouldn't dare try it again. Like, I'm going to throw it from the second floor window and hope it hits them. First get a bow and arrow, stab them so they can have a open wound, or shoot them with something, a gun. And then once the wound is open, then you throw the bottle from afar, because I'm not going back out there. Like, if I was Boyd and anyone else who would be stupid enough to go out there. But he says, we'll figure it out tomorrow. And he was like, hey, if you ever want to get that badge back, and kind of like ... And that's when Kenny's like, see you around. Boyd, Kenny does not fuck with you. Don't think because y'all had a little moment here, open up Smiley, that y'all cool now. Like, it's been 2 days. What, you thought I was mad at you for 2 days? I'm not a little kid. If I'm mad at you, I'm pissed at you, and I'm going to hold that grudge. And I want Kenny to hold that grudge. Don't let it go. Even though I probably said 2 episodes ago when he had the grudge, it was stupid and he shouldn't be mad at Boyd. And both things can be true. But what I'm saying is, yeah, it was stupid. Maybe he shouldn't have been mad at Boyd. But the fact that he now was mad at Boyd, hold that shit. Because he still didn't even have your back here. If he wanted forgiveness and he wanted to kind of bridge, this would have been Boyd's chance. And be like, you know what? I think we should follow Kenny's lead. Kenny's right. So I like when Kenny was like, see you around. I don't fuck with you, Boyd. So that's what Kenny's saying. But yeah, loved that. So yeah, good episode. Not too much action. Muriel's little nightmare was good. I do want them to sort of talk about these nightmares. There's other theories like the Freddy Krueger, and because now are their nightmares, like, can it come into their nightmare, like, and actually kill them like Freddy? So I don't know. There's like a lot of different things that's going on, a lot of different themes, but it's all going to come together. It's slowly starting to not feel like Lost. Well, I'll tell you that much. Nothing about this episode felt like Lost. Okay. This is not the same thing as opening that hatch, John Locke going on his little adventure. This ain't the same thing. So, for all the comparisons this show has had about Lost, including me comparing it, this definitely didn't feel like Lost this week. So, but that is all we have. This episode was much longer than usual, so hopefully you all enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to episode 8. I want some action. I want to be scared. I get scared over everything. So I want to be scared. Show me something. But protect Kenny at the same time. So that's all I got. If you guys want to be part of the podcast, hit me up. host@theverdictsin.com. That's HOST@theverdictsin.com. Also hit me up on Facebook.com/verdictsin or @theverdictsin on Twitter. And then we also have Instagram page, The Verdictsin. All right, until then, I'm Nicole. Have a good one.